Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ms. McGuire online video lecture. This is for introductory anatomy and physiology class, and today we're covering blood typing. Okay, so what is blood typing? This is when physicians or, nurses, they draw blood of a patient and they do analysis of what type of blood that patient has. Now, why do we need it? Because you all know that we have different blood types, like blood A plus, A minus, A positive, A negative, B positive, B negative, O positive, negative, or AB positive and negative. And the point is, if you have blood type A, you cannot give this patient blood type B, for example, right? If somebody has blood type A plus, they need to receive blood type A plus, or they can die, right? So when somebody need blood transfusion, they need to receive same blood type. So that's why this blood typing is performed. So everybody should know their blood type in case of emergency. So what exactly blood typing is and what is your blood type, how we can figure it out? We're actually going to start with the last slide here, that's this one. So I'm going to pick up my pen. So this is, of course, simplification of the process, but it will serve the purpose. So this is a red blood cell, right? And red blood cells, as any cell in human body, has cell membrane, right? So that, like, whatever line you're drawing, when you draw a cell, you're drawing cell membrane. On the cell membrane of red blood cells, you have these glycoproteins. You see, so this one, they present them in the form of circle. Here it's a diamond, right? So this protein that we have on the surface of red blood cells called antigen. So let's say if your blood cell, red blood cells look like this, if you have A antigen, then your blood type is A. So this is a person with blood type A. So that's a group A. So another person might have a different shape of this protein. So it has antigen. So this glycoprotein, right, this molecule over here, and here, called antigen. So this is antigen B. So if your blood cells look like this, if you have B antigens, then you have blood type B, right? Well, then we have some people, they have actually both. They have protein antigen A, and they have this protein antigen B on the surface of their red blood cell. So then their blood is AB. And then we have people that do not have any. So they don't have A, don't have B, and of course they don't have like this, A and B. So then this is blood type group O. All right. So again, those protein on the surface of our cells are antigen. Those are our own proteins. So let's say I have A antigen, then I have type A blood. If I have B antigen on the surface of red blood cells, then I'm type B blood. Have both A and B, my blood type is AB. None of them, zero, right? Well, there is another antigen, all right? This antigen is actually called RH. You see over here, capital R and little h. And if you have this RH on the surface of red blood cells, then you're positive. Your blood is positive. If you don't have it, you are negative. So every one of us, we have antigen A, or antigen B, or antigens A and B, or none, and plus we either have this RH or we don't, right? Now, here's the important thing. So if this is your blood type, then your immune system, looking at this antigen A, looking at this, your immune system cells, and they recognize it as your own protein. Your immune system is not going to attack anything that has this A antigen. But if this person over here receives blood group B, then immune system will not recognize this antigen B, right? If you blood A, B blood is not your type. And then you start making antibodies. You know, like when you're sick, when you have flu or COVID, you make antibodies, right? When they give you shots for to prevent you from being sick, vaccines, so you produce antibodies. The same in this situation. So if you group A, then you produce antibodies against B, right? Because B is not your blood type. If you group B, then you're gonna produce antibodies against A, so it's anti-A. Now, if you AB, then you don't make any antibodies because your immune system consider A antigen and B antigen, you know, your own antigens, so they belong to you, so there is no need to fight them, so you don't produce any antibodies. Now, as a patient with a blood O, because it doesn't have antigen A or antigen B, then you make antibodies against both anti-A and anti-B, right? So that's what happens if a patient with blood A get blood B, those antibodies will attack those red blood cells and they will, you know, destroy them. And it will cause agglutination of the blood. So those blood cells, they get sticky and they form, you know, this agglutination. So they stick to each other and they will plug blood vessels, and it's going to be a disaster. So the patient will die. So blood becomes like a gel instead of fluid, right? Okay, so that's why it's important. So now let's go back and kind of read from the beginning. Okay, so here's our blood typing, and this is what we need to remember. Points to remember about blood typing. Proteins called antigens on the surface of RBCs. Right, so on the surface of red blood cells, you have proteins called antigens. So we have antigen A, B, and Rh. Now, if your cell has this Rh, right, then your blood is positive. Absence of Rh makes blood negative. If you don't have any of this, right, then it's gonna be O. So actually, if you don't have any of this, it's going to be O minus, right? So we have people who don't have A nor B, but they still have RH, then it will be blood plus. So here's, for example, if you have antigen A, only antigen A on the surface of RBCs, so then you are A negative. Because kind of like what you have, what antigens you have, that's your blood type. So for this patient, if patient only has antigen A, then blood type A and no Rh, then it's negative. So each person has antibodies. So those were antigens, right? So antigens, that's it. So antigens over here, you can have your own antigen, like antigen A, antigen B, or both. Or if, let's say, you are received a wrong blood type, then you're gonna form antibodies against this foreign antigen. So we have antigen A, B, and Rh, we also make antibodies A, B, and Rh. So when your immune system identifies this foreign antigen, then antibody trigger agglutination, that is clumping of RBCs. For example, if your RBC has A and RH, what is your type? So if you have A, right, so your type is A. If you have RH, then you plus. So this patient blood type is A plus, right? Then what antibody you make? As an antibodies that you make B antibodies, right? Because B is not your antigen. Your antigen is A. So B considered to be your foreign antigen, so you make antibodies against B, right? So now, let's say we have patient AB plus. Now, what this patient has? So let me get the pen that doesn't disappear. So this is my patient. So here's a red blood cell. And on the surface of red blood cell, you have antigens, right? So here's antigen. So this patient has A, right? So A and B, because it's AB, and RH. Why this patient has RH? Because it's AB positive. And here again, A and B and RH and so on, right? So now, what kind of blood this patient can receive? Well, so let's say you have a blood transfusion and you give this patient blood. So first, let's remember that everyone can receive their own blood. So if this is AB plus, you always can get AB plus. You can always get your blood type, always, right? Now, if this patient, let's say we give them blood type A, right? So this one has only A, only A's, right? So only this antigen A. Now, if this is inside your blood vessels, A is your own antigen. So you think like, oh, that looks like my blood. Yeah, it doesn't have B, but you don't make antibodies against A, because if this patient, if this person would make antibodies against A, it would attack his own or her own blood cells. So this patient doesn't have any antibodies, no antibodies, because A belonged to this patient, B antigen belonged to this patient, RH belonged to this patient. So it has all different antigens, so it doesn't make any antibodies, then it's universal receiver. You can give this patient any blood and it will be no agglutination. That makes sense? Okay, so let me just remove all this drawing. Let's see. Right, okay, so here's removing. So if somebody is AB plus, so it has A, it has B, it has RH, so any blood received by this patient will be accepted, fine. So it can receive from all blood types. It has no antibodies. Now, if we have a patient zero negative, that means this patient doesn't have any antigen, no antigen. So you can give this blood to anyone and you just has no antigens to attack. So can give blood to all blood types. So we have universal receiver or recipient, AB plus, and universal donor, O minus, right? Okay, so here is the summary of what we just said. So we have antigen. So remember, those are protein present on the surface of red blood cells. So it will identify blood type. And whoever has this blood type will produce antibody against different blood type. So let's say we draw your blood and we find antigen A, right? Then only antigen A. So the blood type gonna be A minus. Now why minus? Because there is no RH. Now, and you then make antibodies against B and against RH. That means you cannot receive any blood that has this antigen B or that has antigen RH. So you cannot receive B plus, right? Because you make antibodies. And you cannot receive AB plus. Right? So let's say here's another test, and somebody has antigen A and RH, that the blood type is A because it has A, and plus because it has RH, and antibodies produced are B. So if you give this person a blood type B, that causes agglutination, cannot do it, right? If you give this person AB, also will cause agglutination because in AB, you will still have B. So his antigen B, only antigen B, then it's B minus blood type and antibody against A and RH. If somebody BRH, this is B plus, antibodies A. If somebody is AB, then it's AB minus, but it still makes antibodies RH. And here's our ABRH. So this is AB, and because it has RH, it's plus, AB plus. So you cannot, this person doesn't make any antibodies. So that's our universal recipient. So here somebody has RH only, then this is O positive, then it's make antibodies against A and B, anti-A and anti-B antibodies. And here we don't have any antigens, then it's O minus, and it's make antibodies to A, B, and RH. So this is because you don't have antigen, this blood can go to any of these recipients. So this is our universal donor. So you can donate blood to everyone, but you can only receive O minus, right? You can donate, but if you're in trouble, if you O minus, you're in trouble, then you can only get O minus. But let's say any of these people in trouble, right? And they need blood transfusion, O minus can give blood to all of them. Right? Okay. So this is how blood typing is, and we already discussed this table, right? Okay, so that was the last slide, and that's it for today's lecture. Right, thank you for watching, and I hope it was helpful.